This is Michael Spedden, and welcome to Fowl Players Radio, your one-stop shop for all of your pop culture needs. We feature interviews from musicians, actors, comics, dancers, authors, and much, much more, up-and-coming artists and beloved favorites. We've got it all, people on stage, backstage, out front, and behind the scenes. Sit back and relax. Let's have some fun.
Hi, this is Kathy Ladman, and you're listening to Fowl Players Radio, the place where you get all of your good news information. Not really, but it's just a great show.
Hey, Mary Jo Peel here, and you are listening to Fowl Players Radio.
Hey folks, Michael Spedden here, Fowl Players Radio. Tonight's guest is Rich Manley. What a great guest, a very interesting fellow to talk to. He has a show on Tubi called Rich Manley Culture Shock, where he goes around the world to remote villages in different countries, for example, Peru. He's also gone to, let's take a look here, Ethiopia, Tigray, Nambia, and he visits remote villages and does magic tricks. He's a very, very good magician, and he puts a lot of smiles on faces and gets to know people that way. It's a very interesting show. And not only that, to get from village to village or destination to destination, they're doing it the hard way. They're getting in a raft and going down rapids, they're climbing mountains. The photography in the show is great, the magicianship is great. And it is, again, he's really a true ambassador of goodwill. So I would definitely recommend that you check it out. Rich Manley Culture Shock can be streamed on Tubi. And as it stands right now, season 1 is up. Season 2 is still under production, and there are plans for a season 3, according to what Rich tells us. So all of his websites and social media links are going to be in the show notes of the episode. So sit back and relax and enjoy Rich Manley, and we'll see you after the episode. Thank you.
Hi, this is Paul Castiglia, and you're listening to Fowl Players Radio, the one-stop shop for all your pop culture needs.
Hello, this is John Piet,
Kevin Schmidt,
and Jerry Bozick.
And we're August, a little band from Virginia. You can hear our story, other stories from the legendary Baltimore, D.C. music scene, and much, much more with Michael Spedden on Fowl Players Radio. You can find it at www.fowlplayersradio.com, on YouTube, and wherever you find podcasts online. Keep rocking.
And welcome back to Fowl Players Radio, folks. Tonight, a special treat. We have Rich Manley from the show Culture Shock, which you can see on Tubi. And he's a very, very interesting guy. I've watched several episodes of this show, and he does so many very interesting things. Of course, he's a magician. He takes his craft to remote parts of the world and performs his tricks for the locals that live in these areas. And it's a really interesting show. He gets to each location the hard way. He definitely earns his arrival, we'll say, when he goes to the different locations he goes to. So, Rich, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Excellent, excellent. So, I was reading, I've watched the show, and you're going all over the world, different, remote places of the world, bringing magic to the people that live in these areas. In areas that are remote, and people are, very often live, in tight, tough conditions. And they're not like in the city where they would see something like this every day. You're coming and you're probably really blowing some minds with it here. Tell me, I know we see what we see on TV, but how is it when you're doing these tricks? What don't we see? Are these people really into it, even more than what we see?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Every experience is different, but they really do react to it. The way you see on TV, they're blown away because a lot of these villages or these communities, they just don't have access to electronics, so they don't have TV or they don't have the internet.
Hmm.
So to them, and they have special beliefs. I mean, they have certain beliefs in, real magic or spirits. So sometimes you have to be careful when you do it, but they truly are blown away. I had an instance in Africa where I did a trick where I had something appear on this girl's hand and she ran with her friends. They just kept running,
Yeah.
and it is real to them, and sometimes we have to get our fixers and our team to say, this is just entertainment, so that they don't freak out uncontrollably. So
Right, right, right. And I could imagine too where there may be some, portions of the world where, you could be, looked at as a witch or,
yeah.
something like that. And there could be consequences for that. They,
Yes. Yes. I
yeah.
mean, in Papua New Guinea, and even actually in the Congo, and the Congo is actually on the list of places we were going to go. Unfortunately, I'm sure it's very dangerous there. But
Hmm.
there are communities that believe in consuming a person to absorb their energy and power. So,
Oh,
we
yeah.
try to avoid areas where cannibalism is a thing.
Hmm. Boy, yeah, I'd be nervous about that myself. I would not want to upset the apple cart in an area like that for sure. Um,
No, no. Yeah.
but the thing, and I'm looking, through your website. Um, I mean, without, getting onto any kind of a soapbox or anything like that. I mean, I really think, of course, you're fascinating people. I think that you're really putting together a good function, for society by, you're bringing people together. I'm seeing smiles on faces. And especially in an era like this where people are so divided, they're so polarized. I really think that the positivity that you're bringing people is really a great thing.
No, I appreciate you saying that. That really is like that's a core message of the show, right?
Hmm.
There is a lot going on, and I've always said that there's more similarities than there's differences. And
Hmm.
one thing that I learned in my first travel, which was in Egypt, was just how powerful magic is to bring together people that from across the world, no matter where you're from. And
Hmm.
doing a card trick for a particular individual in this bazaar, it's called Khan Al Khalili, this famous bazaar in Cairo.
Hmm.
I saw firsthand how it brought this particular gentleman I did the trick for, joy. And then
Hmm.
soon I had 50 people circle around me and more coming just to see this magic. And they were welcoming me into their homes. They wanted me to have tea. They wanted to introduce me to their family. And it was this strange thing because you see how, I guess, you have the status quo, you have the function of how people act toward tourists and everything. And when you walk into that bazaar, people want to buy things. So you've got people from Europe, you've got people from America, you've got people all over that are coming to Egypt just to for a transaction. They're paying
Hmm.
something, they're getting a trinket, they're going home. And this is just how people are interacting with each other. No one cares to learn anything more than, oh, that's a trinket I want to take home. I want to remember that. I want to take it home. I want to put it on my mantle, whatever it is. But when you actually start to do something that kind of lifts that facade, it lifts the veil, and then you actually see each other as people.
Hmm.
You start to see the smiles, you see people asking questions about you, and then you ask questions about them. You start to learn about, their belief system, what they truly believe in as both being in the culture and then personally. And then they share things with you that they otherwise wouldn't share with
Right.
people that they would
Hmm.
consider outsiders. So it is something that I want to share with the audience, not just the magic, but seeing how you can connect with people and learn about them and not just go and take photos of the place, but really learn and immerse yourself in the people that
Hmm.
live there, and with them. So,
Hmm. Right. And I would imagine too, I mean, before were to go to a village or a town or, um, the areas where you go to meet the people and perform for them, are there any kind of like maybe cultural briefings that you may get from somebody who's local? I mean, because there are some places where, it may be highly offensive to reach out to shake somebody's hand or to look them in the eye or something like that. Are you briefed on any kind of like protocol like that ahead of time?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes they forget to do that. There was an instance in Peru where we didn't catch this on camera because obviously you'll know in a minute why. But I had my personal camera with me, and I just like to take photos just when the cameras are not rolling and we're walking through a particular area.
Hmm.
And I was taking photos of these Quechua women with their child. And they have their child. Now, Quechua, they're in these brightly adorned, colorful alpaca outfits.
Right, right,
And
right.
online. But there was this small village near Pitamarca, Peru, and they believe that the cameras steal your soul. So
Yeah, yeah.
you point a camera at them and they start, shriveling up and like trying to hide. And so they were doing that. They were trying to hide their kids and turning around. And, I lowered the camera and I said, wow, this is, I don't mean to offend them, what's going on here? And I asked one of the guys who was our fixer and he said, oh, I'm really sorry. Yeah, they don't like cameras of any kind. They believe that's taking their soul. So just be very conscious of only the
Hmm.
people that we've let know that you're going to film. Otherwise, don't film anyone or take anyone that doesn't know.
Hmm.
And so that was something that I wish I had known ahead of time.
Sure, sure.
But it is, yeah, it is a thing though. Like they have these beliefs.
Right. I can remember watching things on TV years ago. I think my father and I, years ago, were watching a documentary about the Amish on public
Mm,
TV or something, and we noticed that whenever, they did televise the Amish people. However, they would not look at the camera. Whenever they would interview them, they would always have a profile. They would shoot them as a profile. They would not look at the camera. We've known about the Amish and they're not, they don't use technology, or they're starting to now, but things like cameras and pictures and filming, those are all definitely no-nos in that culture.
hmm
you know
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that I strongly, it was an eye opener for me because, especially with Amish, in any kind of culture, any kind of people or group,
hmm
it's good to do research ahead of time. I mean, not to necessarily wait for people to tell you, oh, hey,
hmm
this is not something they like.
right.
And I did learn the lesson the hard way,
Hmm.
filming. So,
Right. Well, yeah, plus two, yeah, I mean, I would guess, a real, a faux pas, at a grand scale in a situation like that could really almost ruin your episode too. I mean, it'd turn everybody against you and they wouldn't want to cooperate, I guess, huh?
yeah, yeah. I mean, luckily we've been very fortunate, if there has anybody ever been a mishap or anything like that or a slip, everyone's been very kind and understanding that, oh,
Hmm.
sorry, we're very sorry, and so that hasn't affected anything. And we are very careful because the show is about culture and we want to make sure we honor that.
Hmm. Have you had any issues with maybe some, government, police or anything like that that gave
Um,
you a problem, going from one country to another or entering or
yeah, yes, in many occasions. Uh, I'm trying to think of one that because there's been many that I could tell you. Um, there was one in Egypt where I was traveling from Namibia, I think it was, and Egypt. I've been to Egypt multiple times, maybe 5 or 6 times, and I love the country and I love the energy of the Great Pyramids. So I just wanted to hop to Egypt before going home after filming in Namibia, and I had a drone in my bag. I actually had two drones, and we had them prepared and we were able to get them into the country in Namibia with the proper paperwork, but didn't have it for Egypt. So one of the drones was broken and the other one wasn't, and they were kind of like sitting on top of each other. So it kind of looked like one.
right.
Into the country, and these Egyptian officials kind of pulled me aside and they said, "Do you have a drone in your bag?" Because they were scanning the bags. And I said to myself, "Oh God," because it's illegal to have drones in the country.
Mm.
And so they pulled me aside. They said, open up the bag, take out the drone. And I was thinking to myself, well, I've got two drones. I have one drone, and they're only saying, do you have a drone? So I was like, well, I'll just take out the broken drone. That way, at least I don't have to forfeit the nice new one.
Yeah, right,
So
right.
they snuck out the broken one and just didn't show the rest of it. And then I was like, oh yeah, here it is. And the strangest thing, I said, it doesn't work though. It's okay. And he said, well, I want to make sure of that. Put it on the floor and stomp on it. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, whoa, I've never seen TSA here do that and say, hey, stomp on your electronic. But they were serious. The guy said, I want you to smash it. And I said, okay. I put it on the ground. I started stomping on it with my foot, and then he stomped on it. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, are we all happy here? This drone is pretty broken.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, you can go. And I said, you want me to keep it? And they're like, yeah, it's broken, go. And so that was in a way, a little magic trick I did to save,
Yeah.
to use magic in a way to save the
Mm.
drone that I did not want to be smashed. I
Oh,
thought they were just
sure.
going to confiscate it. I didn't know they were actually going to break it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Yep. Now getting from location to location, I mean, you're obviously not able to just call an Uber and hop in an Uber and go from one spot to another. I mean, you are really going through some rough terrain. You are going through some areas that are just, gosh, I mean, some of these mountains you're climbing, you know, this is no joke, man. You are really, I mean, you're really must be an experienced outdoorsman to be able to do these things, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I spend a lot of time in the mountains, climbing and whitewater kayaking,
Mm.
and skiing and mountaineering, all those skills. I mean, that was something the show really developed because of my love and admiration for my grandfather, who was also an outdoorsman and a magician too.
Right,
Which is funny
right.
because he was a surgeon. But in the 40s, 50s, to turn around that area, they taught certain particular medical students sleight of hand to be better with their finger dexterity. And so
Hmm.
he learned that. That's why he did magic, and he traveled for medical seminars, and he would, basically do magic for different communities. And that's where I got the idea really from him, and how I learned magic. But he was an outdoorsman. He loved fishing. He was climber. He went to the Matterhorn. He climbed. So at a very young age, I was always climbing outdoors. I was building tree forts with my brothers, and
Yeah,
um,
me too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, and that's kind of perpetuated into, me getting older and just continuing up with those skills. And, I always say that adventure and using those skills like climbing or skiing or mountaineering, whatever it is,
Hmm.
they're all ways to connect with the past because these were all skills that some communities needed to survive. And we've all lost. We forgot about them. We're like, oh, we don't need to, climb up a waterfall like they would have to do actually in Japan. There's actually a certain group of areas there where people climbed waterfalls to bring news or food to other villages, and they'd actually climb up waterfalls. And now we don't need to do that, but those certain specific skills were things that, in my opinion, connect us to the past. And when I'm climbing a mountain or doing something like that, it's to me, it's like this honor that I get to, say, oh wow, this is what our ancestors might have had to do just to survive and to feel that sense
Hmm.
of purpose, like
Hmm.
this is what it used to be like. I'm not sitting, at home. I'm
Hmm.
out there feeling like what it was like to be alive. And that's
Sure.
what I like about it.
Well, that's
Yeah.
probably why we have cities in the Midwest in our country, because I guess there was some, settlers were moving out west and, they see this mountain they have to scale. They're like, I think we're good here. Let's get set up and
Yeah,
new
yeah, we'll
city.
stay here.
Right. But
Yeah.
you're certainly not, it's not like you're getting into some air conditioned helicopter and flying to the next
No,
location and
no.
packing up. I mean, you guys are getting there the hard way, which is wow.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're originally from New England, is that correct?
Hmm. East Coast. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Was it Massachusetts or was it
Yeah, Massachusetts. I grew up just outside of Boston,
yeah.
and I grew up, in the woods. So
Mhm.
small neighborhood, but like surrounded by the pines and all that the foliage. So it was beautiful. That's what I miss about the East Coast actually is that,
Mhm.
I'm here in LA. It's, you don't really get the snow. You do get the rain, but you don't really get the changing of the seasons, that fall foliage, which I love about the East Coast. So.
Oh yeah, beautiful country. Beautiful country. Again, I'm your neighbor a couple of states south there and you're absolutely right about it. And it looks like there is currently one season of the show out right now, and
Hmm.
I guess the other one, I guess you've been going to the countries and filming, but you're not finished. It's not been released yet. Is there a release date for season two?
So right now we are currently filming season two. I just got back from Bolivia with altitude sickness, so
Hmm.
that goes hand in hand with our discussion of not taking helicopters or any form of transportation. It was a really strenuous shoot, but beautiful country.
Hmm.
And so we just finished that. We're filming five more episodes that we have to do in a little bit to the end of this year. Into next year, we'll be done. And then I would say probably a release toward the end of next year, 2026.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So we have a little ways to wait yet, huh?
oh yeah, we're still filming. I mean,
Hmm.
it's been quite the process. I'm just happy to be home for a little bit. Relax. I mean, it's still working. I'm still working on things, but we have a little bit of time before we go out again. We'll be in
Hmm.
Alaska, and then we'll be in Africa again filming. So
Yeah, I know. It does take a while to do these things, you know. I mean, I've been on some, I've done some on camera acting and some of the, the episodes that you do. It's not like you're taking out your phone and filming something and putting it up online, you know. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, you know.
yeah,
First of all,
yeah.
getting the scenes and everything right, and then, getting the editing and everything correct. And it's a lot, it's a really big ordeal, you know.
Mhm.
And then,
That's one thing that I always say because I often get asked about um, how do you go about like if somebody wanted to be filming their adventures, and
mhm,
there's a lot of obviously social media now and a lot of people like to use their phones and everything, but there is, in my opinion, there's a dying form of understanding, filmmaking, which is, the traditional way of filming. And when you add that element, obviously, to, documentaries and adventure, you're adding a whole new skill set. And it's something where the cameraman or the camera crew sometimes is double the experience level of the person in front of the camera because they have
mhm,
to hang from mountains. And a lot of people don't realize that they're the ones that are putting their lives more in danger than the
mhm,
person in front of the camera because they're hanging, they're rigging, they've got a camera, they have to go into very awkward positions, climbing or up a river, up a mountain that there's
mhm,
avalanche danger. They have to mitigate that danger and find out where they need to be to get those shots. And their focus is on filming. So
mhm,
they're aware of their surroundings, but there's a lot to be said about the people that dedicate their time to filming this stuff because there's a lot of skill that goes into it. It's not
mhm.
just picking up a camera or picking up a cell phone. It's understanding how to film, but understanding how to survive while filming. So
Oh, yeah. Well, the other thing too is that, there could be, I can just think of lots of different scenarios where, you're trying to accomplish something and have a camera in your hand and get something decent that you can use out of it. And going up mountains, going down whitewater rapids. I mean, I can imagine, you're filming somewhere and, you see the lion behind the cameraman, but he doesn't, you know,
yeah,
and, he's like, yeah, what's going on? Why is everybody running? Oh, geez,
yeah, yeah. No, we had a producer. Actually, it was a scary situation because we thought we lost him, and he was in a rapid. It was I think a
Mm,
class four, class five, class four, but where we were going down the river, and we flipped. We had a couple takes where we were flipping in a raft, not intentionally in some of these areas, and we caught it on camera. The camera crew caught it, but in this particular instance, the producer went under the water and he was kind of caught up in a hydraulic, which pushes you down. He was stuck in a hole
mm-hmm,
and he kept circulating underneath that hole. And, we didn't see him for a while. I mean, I couldn't tell. I was getting washed down the river and someone actually had to rescue me, which luckily I got to shore. And we were waiting to see where he was. Finally, he surfaced, we threw him a line, and we got him to shore too, because I mean, the river just kept going. And he got to the shore and he said, "My God, my life flashed before my eyes. I thought that was the instance I was going to die because he's like, I was sucked down her hydraulic. Luckily, I knew how to get out of it. I tried to stay calm, and I got out." He said, "But I for a moment there didn't think that I would surface." And so it's just a testament to, again, the people that are behind the scenes as well being put into some of these scenarios.
Oh, I've been in that situation before myself, and I will tell you firsthand that is no joke. And the thing is that really put the fear of God into me about it is I'm 6'6". I'm the size of an NFL lineman in terms of height and weight. And when something can grab me and throw me like a rag doll, and I can absolutely do nothing about it, you learn a little respect. You learn to mind your P's and Q's from then on, And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was yeah, that was a trip I'll never forget and one I'll never repeat. It was just brutal,
It-
you know?
yes, it does teach you humility really quick and put you in your place when things like that happen.
I know it was just too, and then finally popping up out of the water. I mean, I felt like I was underwater for 20 minutes, and then I pop up and everybody's way the heck down there. And here I am. I'm like, God, what just happened?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
It really, yeah. Yeah. So, you've had your episodes, you've been to, South America, you've been to parts of the African continent, it looks like the Middle East, yep, West Virginia and Utah. There you go. Are there, I guess, I guess I shouldn't try to ask to create a spoiler, but are you allowed to say any of the future? I mean, you did mention Egypt and Libya. Are you allowed to say any of the future countries you're going to have episodes in, or is that kind of wait and see for us?
I will say that we were in Bolivia, and that was beautiful in South America. Obviously close to Peru, so you're still in that high altitude, which
Yeah.
what the whole thing itself. And we will be going back to Africa, and there will be some new continents we will be on as well. And then, we also have a season three that has been mapped out that once we release this one, we're going to go right into season three,
Hmm.
which will be a whole new areas, in Asia and other parts of Indonesia as well. I won't give specifics, but I will say we're going to go to a lot more remote regions, and that adventure factor and the danger factor, is going up and up, especially in the places that we're going to be visiting.
Sure, sure. Well, again, it's great that you're able to get out to these remote areas and really be a good ambassador of goodwill to everybody. I mean, again, I really think that's what we need. I mean, so many times, and I'd mentioned this before that, you get somebody like yourself going in and, everybody kind of is willing to accept each other. You're putting smiles on faces. People are willing to accept each other, kind of get to know each other a little bit, and it really kind of it bridges people, I think. And I really think it's just a great thing that you're doing. I mean, it's a shame that there's not more of it going on.
Well, I mean, I really appreciate that, and that's the message that I'm trying to give. As fun as it is, it's still, it is a job that we're all doing, and there is a purpose and a mission behind it.
Hmm.
There is entertainment. I mean, it's meant to be entertainment, but at the same time, it really is supposed to give that message where you really can think and look at these people and hopefully get out, yourself, like anybody that wants to get out and actually say, all right, I'm going to think outside the box. I'm not just going to go to get a souvenir, but maybe learn a little bit about these people. I can tell you an instance in Sri Lanka where I had a fixer. His name is Chintaka, and he was a very interesting guy. We became friends, and we still stay in touch to this day. But he had all these misconceptions about America, and a lot of them were because he would watch movies. And I think one of them was Bad Boys, the movie Bad Boys. And he would say to me, "So does everyone in America have guns? Are they all shooting each other?" And I said, "No, I said, look, people are not going around shooting people all over the street."
Mm-mm.
Like he's like, "There's car chases, are people shooting out the windows, and everything he sees in action movies." And I was like, "What are you watching? Are you watching the news? Are you watching?" And he's like, "Oh, all the American movies, I see everyone car chasing and shooting." And I'm like, "No, that's that's a film, and
Mm,
so it's interesting to see how other places perceive,
yeah.
other people because based on the media they watch.
Hmm.
And so it was interesting to see him and meet with him and have a lot of discussions with him. And he was trying to bring me to places in the country that, were tourist attractions. And I remember he wanted to show this waterfall to me. And I said, well, we're doing a scouting mission to shoot an episode here. I want you to show me the real Sri Lanka.
Hmm.
I don't, I'm not interested in the waterfall that there's about, there was like 40 tourists or European tourists taking photos. He said, I'm really not interested in that. I said, however, this is really interesting over here. And he was very confused because there was a local man who had an easel and he had canvas and he was painting the waterfall. And I said, the thing that I'm trying to showcase here, and especially with Culture Shock, is not to look at this, but to look at this. Because so much of our focus when we travel is to look at this, and we're missing, metaphorically, we're missing the guy that's painting it,
Hmm.
which he has so much of a story, and he's looking at this from a different perspective, than just the beauty of that waterfall. It was very beautiful, but
Hmm.
to see him draw that and to talk with him a little bit about his story and his backstory to me was really interesting,
Hmm.
opposed to just that waterfall. Now it had context because I was like, so what do you think about this? Is there any specific meaning? And, he's talking about how there's spirits in the water and this and that. So now that photo to me that everyone's taking, and probably hundreds of thousands of people have taken that same photo, has a unique meaning because it came from a man who explained what it means to him, who
Hmm.
lives in the country. So to me, that's what makes that piece important. And I think that's the meaning of the show, is to hear those voices.
Right, right, right. Wow. I mean, well, like I said, I really think this is an amazing show and it's an amazing thing that you're doing here, and I just think it's you know, something that's, that we definitely need. It's bridging gaps, it's bringing people together, you're putting smiles on faces, and you done good, my friend. You definitely done good with this. And I'm sure, you learned a lot of this. You took this interest from your grandfather. I guess, is he still with us, or is he passed away, or does he know about this?
Yeah, he passed. He actually passed before I came up with the idea for the show.
Oh,
But
okay.
he did leave me. He did leave me a lot of information, like a lot of like a journal that he would take notes
Hmm.
in of all the places he went, and that's what inspired me. Seeing his work when he did pass, and he passed, years and years ago.
Sure. Right.
About 5 or 6 years ago, he passed, and looking at what he was doing and seeing after the fact, I learned a lot more about him, after he had passed, even though I was really close with him on,
Hmm.
what he was actually looking for. And it was the connection among people. And it was kind of like he left that last bit of information, or that little tidbit of knowledge for me to kind of explore and go on my own adventure. And I kind of took that as a sign that, okay, maybe this is something I should be doing and sharing with others.
Right. 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 Well, I mean, you're doing a great job. The show looks great. I enjoyed watching the show itself, and really interesting to see all these remote locations and everything. So keep up the great work, Rich. It's really good. Like I said, it's a show definitely worth watching. So, would you like to plug now, shamelessly plug where we can find
Yeah.
out that, or
Yes.
are there other ventures or things that you're into that you'd like to talk about while we're here as well? The floor is yours.
Okay, yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, anyone who's interested in watching the show, you can see it on Tubi TV. It's called Culture Shock: Bridging Cultures Through Magic. That last kind of tagline is where you can find it, because there's a lot of Culture Shock different shows, but Bridging
Hmm.
Cultures Through Magic. And then any other updates or anything going on with the show, you can go to www.cultureshockmagic.com,
Hmm.
and you'll see updates of season 2, season 3, what's going on. And anything I'm doing personally, it's expeditionrich.com.
Hmm.
And my Instagram is Rich C. Manley. I put a lot of my adventures there, and you can follow me there. And then I'm also doing a live stage show. This live stage show is a touring show where I talk about my adventures around the world, and I do magic that I've witnessed from people in remote regions. We just did our premiere at the Lowe's Hotel here in Hollywood. We're going to do more shows there in August, and then we're going all over the country. We're going to be to different states. If you want to know about if we're coming to your state, you can go to expeditionrich.com, and I'll have all the updates there for the live shows and everything I'm doing.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I really appreciate you being willing to come and talk to us today. It's very, very interesting. Again, a very interesting show, an interesting guy we got here, folks, huh? And again, keep up the great things that you're doing. You know, again, I think we are definitely in need of this kind of thing, just to bring people together, put smiles on each other's faces, realize that we're not all that different from each other, that we definitely have our similarities. And thank you again. You know, folks, remember it's Rich Manley Culture Shock on Tubi. And you can get that on most of your streaming platforms, I'm sure. You know, Roku and all the other ones. That's what we have, Roku. So that's where I saw you. And well, thanks again. You know, we definitely appreciate you coming and spending the time with us again. So folks, check them out. It's well worth seeing. Rich Manley Culture Shock. And we'll also put the other websites and all the other things in the show notes. So thank you all for listening. And thanks again, Rich. Okay.
And thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. We'll see you all next time, everybody. Folks, thanks for tuning in, and I really hope you enjoyed our episode with Rich Manley. I really enjoyed talking to him. He's got a great show that's out on Tubi right now, and I will put everything that you need to know as far as his social media and his links to his websites for performances as well as the TV show in the show notes. And I highly recommend that you check this show out because it's very, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Remember, you know, we at Fowl Players Radio appreciate your support. We appreciate you watching and listening, spreading the word to others. And we just want to remind you to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube and definitely spread the word. Until next time, folks, this is Michael Spedden signing off. See you next time.